Ricky Flicks, this was a rec from you. Last week, episode 1 came out of this series produced by the Safdies and by Danny McBride, detailing this life at this place called CDG, this telemarketing corporation, and it goes into the life. It's a documentary by a telemarketer from CDG, and it goes through him trying to uncover this the injustices done by CDG and by telemarketers overall. What a great rec, Ricky. This was awesome. And seeing episode 2, I watched both last night back to back. I've gotten a hell of a lot of docudramas, docu-series in my blood at this point. This was sick. I really like seeing this boring job and that has such an interesting background, that has like this dark past, and that you really wouldn't think is so entertaining, and it has like this JV Michael Moore type of feel to it. This was cool, Ricky Flex.
Yeah, this doc, episode 1 was close to a perfect like documentary that you can get from like a multi-part doc. Like, this was perfect. You had this boring, like, everyone knows telemarketers, everyone hates telemarketers, right? And you get these calls every day. And you get to find out the behind the scenes of these phone calls that live with you every day of your life. And you get these wow OMG moments that you honestly wanted to get from the Florida Gators doc, right? You get these people smoking crack in the office, prostitutes in the bathroom, dealing drugs in the office, like these crazy characters. And you have this one stud, Pat Pespis, that's absolute beast and should be a movie character.
Telemarketing legend.
Telemarketing legend. Like, this is like, you have the aha moments, the holy crap moments in a documentary that you want, that live with you, that make you want to talk about it to other people, that make you want to say, I want to know more. And that's what you get in this doc. And that's why episode 1 in particular, I think episode 2 also did it, but on a deeper level and a kind of more confusing level, but because it gets just deeper and more complex. But the first episode is just outstanding. And the self-awareness is perfect because the person behind the camera is also a worker at CDG, at the telemarketing company, who's getting permission to do all this. So I love this doc. I love episode 1. Episode 2, I think is good, not great. I'm looking forward to episode 3, how they're going to kind of conclude all of this. But like, I'm glad you watched it. I was nervous you weren't, because I think Pat Pespis is a beast and should be a movie character, like I mentioned before.
Yeah, like I tweeted yesterday, Pat Pespis is one of my favorite HBO characters of all time, and he's a real person. He doesn't seem real. He seems like a cracked out Michael Moore. That's what he is. And this is what, like, people are so concerned with quality of docudramas, docu-series, and this one embraces that it's amateur. It embraces that this guy, Sam Lippman-Stern, this guy who dropped out of high school in the 9th grade, decided to be a telemarketer, and he saw such crazy things were happening. He was going to document it, this like grassroots approach on telemarketing, and then it's edited so well afterwards, and it's got the nice transitions. It's got a lot of humor to it as well. That's where like the amateurness, like, I think actually it's charming in the docu,
like a Project X.
Yeah, and it just feels like these guys, like, they're not, it's like a bunch of schmucks making a docu-series, but they know it's an important message that needs to be told. And I think that goes with like early days of documentaries. Like I talked about, like, it's a JV Michael Moore project, them going on the inside, being really shitty at interviewing people, you know, and they just make light of it, saying, this is where I noticed Pat Pespis wasn't really great at his job. And then there's great running gags of them going to get Wi-Fi in McDonald's and Dunkin' Donuts. It's just these really poor dudes that are just guys that are trying to tell a story. It just has a charm to it that I think it's missing, and it doesn't feel as commercial as other docuseries.
I completely agree. And I think also another enticing thing is just like the logo's great. You have Pat with the hair, the mustache, the headset on, smoking a cig. Great logo. And a great trailer too. If you just watch this like teaser for it mixed with the logo, that's like, yeah, I want to check out more of that. I want to watch more of that. And I think that really helps, especially with the craziness that happens in the first episode, that's showing you the life inside of a telemarketer, or who you might be sitting next to, or who you might be getting a phone call from on a daily basis, who they really are, probably a criminal or potentially a murderer, right? I think this does an extraordinary job at just telling you the telemarketing gig. And I think when it comes to like the bigger story, which I think is trying to get at here in the second episode and into the third, like the big scam of all the scandal, the people that are running these companies, it's complex. It's probably the weak part in the doc. But again, you're watching for Pat Pespis here. You're watching for the amateur hourness of this and the people that you're getting the phone calls from. You're watching for who those people are. So I think those are the best parts of the doc. That's what we're gonna cling on to. Tell your friends about when you recommend this documentary to them. Again, love this from HBO. The Safdies, Danny McBride. Just a good thing to put on the resume and the filmography in the background. Just to say, hey, I got this in the background. This is easy for them. I love this all around.
I think the second episode, it wasn't as good as the first because the first one just had such electricity that was happening within the confines of CDG. And it has the actions caught on camera of these people as they're doing their 9 to 5 job, as them as telemarketers, and like Pat Pespis falling asleep at his desk, and it has like that YouTube type of humor, like, oh, this guy, look at his plumber's crack and stuff like that. And these guys are on the other end of these calls that sound so professional, them reading off a script, and all these suckers who like give them money. It's really crazy to listen to. The second episode, it was a little too much into like the business side of it all, the money collection from outside of these telemarketing corporations, the connection and like the awareness of other actual state-run organizations that these exist, these type of telemarketing corporation, and that they're collecting money from them. To me, that is intriguing, but like the initials of these companies, it kind of gets like, okay, where are we at right now? Who are we talking to? And that part in that second episode, it kind of lost me a little bit, but the cliffhangers of these 2 episodes have been fantastic for a docu-series. And this is spoilers, right? So I'm just gonna, right, Ricky, you okay if we talk about some cliffhangers here?
Spoilers don't matter. Like, watch this doc no matter what.
Yes. So like the cliffhanger was great though. Like that first one where the person with the blurred voice on the phone is saying, you have these criminals that might be targeting you, but they're not the ones you really have to worry about. It's the real life fire departments and these police officers that are unionized, that are collecting money from these telemarketers, how they are in on all these scams. And you realize, wow, like the first episode is like, how much more can they really dig in with this story? And it's like, oh, we're getting bigger. This is way bigger. We've cracked something open. And we're like, how did Pespis and Stillman Stern crack this open? These 2 idiots. And they somehow did. And then the second episode, we don't even know if Pat Pespis is alive. We can't find him. Like, see those 2 cliffhangers? It's definitely going to make me keep watching, dude. I hope he's alive.
Yeah, I was like confused at that abruptness. Like, oh, and Pat's just gone. It's like, oh, but it connects to the previous cliffhangers, and it does sound right, like former crackhead, And it's just like, it makes sense. Or heroin, whatever. I don't know. But,
all the above.
All the above. And yeah, you had to go bigger too, because like we talk about in sequels and movies and franchises, like you always got to go bigger, expand more universes. That's what they're doing here. They're going bigger. They're going outside the telemarketing, but they're connected with the fire departments and the police officers and how they're kind of in on it and how they use the money for just hangout spots and just like not really for their actual job or to these fallen heroes, where they say that like on the scam calls they're saying the money's going to people that families of fallen soldiers or wounded soldiers, officers or firefighters or whoever. So it's crazy. It's just a little disorienting at times. I think the best parts of episode 2 are like the drug dealer who's the best telemarketer in his area. Then you have the guy
up heroin. He's the Michael Jordan of telemarketing.
And then you have the guy that was in jail for 30 years for first degree murder, and he's the best telemarketer in like the East Coast or the Midwest, whatever it was. It's just like, and they agree to be filmed and like saying effing like all these swears after he doesn't make a sale.
Got anger issues.
Right. It's just like, crap. That's the guy that's on the phone with you and like trying to take your money and like your house, basically your mortgage. Like, it's crazy.
That's where that's what makes it so interesting. It's something that sounds so boring as telemarketing. And like, if you would guess, if you're a Joe Schmo, you probably hang up the phone most of the time, but who is that other person on the line? What is happening while they're on the phone? And I also was just thinking about, it's amazing how unregulated everything is. And this is what the documentary is so important, because as we go to this part 3, and I think it's the final part of the series, what is the end game here? What are these documentarians actually trying to accomplish? Because by the looks of it, it seems like the federal government really has no say, and then the state governments don't know how to actually track it. You have these telemarketing corporations that get caught scamming one time and they just move on to the next state, or they create a new company name. It doesn't seem like it's possible to ever stop. And I don't know about you, Ricky Flex, I get a bunch of calls like this all the time that I find very untrustworthy. So it seems like something, it's just exposing you to this world and making sure you stop answering those phone calls. And it's just trying to tell you that these things still exist, and like it's almost impossible to stop.
Yeah, I agree. I think the reason why it's so good too is because like, oh, it's telemarketing, it's a boring subject, but they make it interesting.
Yeah.
They spin it to what it is, and that gets your attention. It gets your interest, piques your interest, and the entertainment factor is through the roof. But again, it's with a boring ass subject. That's why it's so good and so well made, and I have an appreciation for it. I'm again like. It's probably going to be on the Rex again this weekend, just to make sure you watch part 3. Telemarketers is a great doc. You haven't watched on HBO, it's a must watch.
I feel good for this kid that made the documentary too, alongside Pat Pespis. The fact that he got dropped out of high school, dreamed of making this documentary, and then all of a sudden he is directing it with the production value of HBO alongside the Safdies and Danny McBride. That's like dream stuff. It's like a guy, because this has like the quality of like high school documentary that has like great editing alongside of it. You know, it just feels very amateur, but that's why I love it so much.
Yeah, no, it has that feel to like that Jimmy Tatro series. What's that called again?
Oh yeah,
it's not real, but like that high school amateur
the
hour.
With the dick drawing one.
The dick drawing one, and then
I don't know the name of it.
Yeah, whatever that is, I forget what it is. American Scandal.
Yes, Vandal.
But like this is just like real and better. But my last thing I was gonna say, at the end they gotta zoom into 2023 and this guy working on it. Like they gotta have footage of him working on the doc, or like what is he doing now? You know. I forget his name, but the high school dropout, the guy that's behind this.
Yeah, I have it right here. Sorry, I was spacing out a little bit. Sam Littmanstern. They gotta do something with him, like present day. And Pat Pespis, whether he's alive or not, you gotta do a present day thing with him. Great mystery. Is this guy still alive? I was just guessing he was dead the entire time.
Yeah, well, after episode 1, I was assuming like, yeah, no way this guy is still alive today. So like, I'm actually like interested to see if he's dead. I'm guessing he's not, because they wouldn't do this cliffhanger and just have him be dead, I think. So I'm guessing he's coming back for episode 3. But I want to see 2023. I want to see if he's alive still, for this doc, and see if he gets any monetary value from it. I don't know. But I love this doc. This is a great doc.
He's like this drug addict conspiracy dude that makes this even more must watch. Like you just want to see like the footage of the telemarketers, and you want to like hear a little bit about like potential intertwining of like actual state-run organizations with these scams, but then having him like be explaining it and then also screwing up like the investigation. It just makes it that much more hilarious. You know, that's what makes it so entertaining.
I also, sorry, one last thing. Sorry, I keep saying one last. Because like the founders of CDG, one of them was in the Christian rock group, and he was using a lot of money to try to be rich. And then like Pat is like, yeah, he was using all this money and he sucked. And then episode 2, you find out, oh, he was in a band and he actually like tried to record something and he sucked too.
Yeah. He's like, I got airtime at a college radio station. I'm like, I think anyone could get on a college radio station if you gave them like a CD.
$10.
Literally, I ran a college radio. Like I didn't run, but I had a couple of college radio shows, and like if people handed me a CD, as long as I got approval from the person, like whatever the person running the station, I could run it. You know, that was great. But hearing him do that, I'm like, dude, yeah, I could just write a comedy special right now. I could record an episode of this and hand it to him and be like, oh yeah, we published something on a college radio show. I need Pat Pespis to be alive, though. Please, God, have Pat Pespis not only be alive for episode 3, but currently alive right now. I hope he's doing well in recovery.